Hi everyone, it's Miss Walsh from Emerson. I am here to show you how to get your notebook all set up. In order to be ready to use the science notebook, you have to decide, do you want to buy a notebook? I recommend the composition notebooks. They hold up really well. They're super durable. You can get them dirty and throw them in the dirt. They don't fall apart quite as easily. Sometimes spiral notebooks, the spirals will get caught on stuff while you're out investigating, but it doesn't really matter. Or you've made your own notebook, such as this one. And if you would like to do that and didn't see our how-to videos, they are posted for you to be able to see. So make sure you check those out. So whichever kind of notebook you decide you want to use, whether it's one you buy or one you make yourself, we're going to get you all set up and ready to learn. So you can print out things that you would like to go into your notebook, or you can write and draw yourself. Throughout the year, your teacher is likely going to be sending some worksheets that are going to help guide the science work that you're going to be doing at home during your distance learning in the same way that we would be doing it with you if we were in person in the classroom. For older students, it might be easy to draw some of the diagrams or ways of thinking or data tables that they might be putting in their notebooks, and they might be just fine doing that on their own. For younger students, sometimes it is really helpful to print out some sort of worksheet or graphic organizer that they glue into their notebooks to help them organize their ideas. So I want to show you two things about that so that you're ready to go. Most of the time, if you print something, it's going to print in a normal full-size sheet, but that's bigger than a composition book, and that's bigger than our little books that we made. The easiest way to deal with this, and this is what I teach my students, is you fold it in half like this so that it can open like a book. And then you put glue on one side of your paper. You stick it in here, and then you have this handy dandy thing that can just open. And a lot of times I'll have my students write a little note. Either write a little note or draw a picture on this to remind them of what was in there. So it's sort of like having a book inside of a book. That's a really, really, really easy way to take any full-size worksheet and get it into your science notebook. If you have access to a photocopier, the magic number is 73%. You can put a full-size piece of paper in a photocopier and say copy to 73% of it, and it will come out perfect composition notebook size. For the table of contents and safety sheets that are attached in the kindergarten plans, I also made them smaller so you can print them and then just cut them. All right, now that we've handled that, let's take this blank notebook and get it all ready. So I really like to go over science safety because I think it's something that's really, really, really important. And especially now that we're sort of in the middle of this pandemic, us talking about safety and how to keep each other safe is super important. So whether you would like to use the attached safety sheets or make them up yourself, this is something that I always like to glue in the inside cover of my book so that my students always have it to go back to make sure they're following all of our safety protocols. So I'm going to glue that just like this with a box and an X, and that's all you need. And I'm going to put that on my inside cover. Great. And then I like to have a little about the author page on the very first page just because I think it's super fun. So I'm going to just label this one about me. And then this is a great opportunity for your student to draw a picture of themselves as a scientist, and for you as an adult to see. When I tell my student, what do you think you would look like if you were a scientist? Draw it. You'll get a chance to see what that means. And maybe that's an opportunity for you to address any misconceptions that may have come up. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to elaborate more on what you see in the picture. Really, so much of what your students are going to do in their notebooks is a chance to open a whole range of questions and discussions with them. That's really especially for elementary age students, discussion is a huge Huge part of learning. So your student can draw their picture, and maybe you can even help them with some words if they'd like to write about themselves. Then you're going to want to reserve at least 2 pages for your table of contents. Sometimes in kindergarten, we don't really end up going back and doing the table of contents. It just ends up being a little bit more, but I like to have it there anyway for students who are ready and want to do it, and also just to get that feature of a sort of nonfiction text like our notebooks could end up being in there. So you can either use the attached sheet, or you can simply draw a table in there too. So I'll show you both ways. So I'm going to glue this one in here. And I only printed one of these little ones, but I would normally do 2. Or if you would like to draw it yourself, I'm going to pull out the notebook we made. These are going to be my table of contents pages. All you need to do is draw 3 rows, sort of like 2 skinny rows on each page, on each side, and a big row in the middle. And then you can just label it date, topic, and page number. There you go. So even something as simple as that'll work. And then, you can decide, do you want to add the lines? Maybe kids just want to write on their own. Totally up to you. Remember, this is your science notebook. This is your student science notebook. It's got to be theirs. They have to want to love it. They have to want to use it. They have to want to take ownership of it. All right. Now, wait a second. We just put page number in our table of contents, but our notebooks don't have any page numbers. You are correct. That is the next thing on the list. Starting after your table of contents pages, you want to start numbering from 1. Up to you. I like to have my students put them in the bottom outside corner because they tend to draw less on that corner than the upper corners, but could just be what happens in our class. Pretty much anyone 1st grade or older should mostly be able to handle this on their own. If you're at the beginning of the year in kindergarten or TK and don't quite know your numbers yet, this is a really, really good opportunity to start practicing them. And the easiest way that you can help your students do this is by grabbing a highlighter or a yellow colored pencil or something, a lighter colored ink, and actually writing the numbers for them, and then they can go back and trace them. So all we're going to do is put our numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so on and so on. Now, your kiddo is probably not going to want to number these pages all in one sitting, especially if you do have a TK or kindergarten student, and that is totally okay. Let them do as much as they want. When they get to the page where it doesn't have a number anymore, then that's an opportunity to keep writing. But it is nice to get students into the habit of trying to go back and record, all right, what was I doing on this page? Even if it was like, oh, we were looking at worms. I'm going to write the date. I'm going to draw a picture of my worms, and I'm going to write page number 1. That's fine. It's just a way to get students ready to chronicle their work. Okay, that's all you need in order to get your notebook ready to use. You have a table of contents. You've talked about safety. You've numbered your pages. You're ready to go. So, what are you waiting for? Head outside. Look at what you see. Make an observation. Anything is possible, but don't forget, record it in your notebook. Whether that's a drawing, whether that's a label, whether that's writing, make it work for you. This is where you're going to keep all of your thinking, because one day you might be famous and this notebook might be worth a lot of money, so you might as well fill it up. Bye.